Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is 4.5 across the board right now in favor of the Ravens. 38 is your total in this one. If you guys follow me on the Twitter machine, I went on a rant, and I went on a rant last night about
just
this
a
game.
little.
Yeah, just a little bit. Here's the thing. There's handicapping games, and then there's low-hanging fruit, and then there's being lazy, and there's all these things. And like anyone that's followed any of the content I've done for the last 6, 7, 8 years knows that I it's almost become a shtick now, right? Where it's like I rant against trends and all that. And yes, I think for the most part, 90% of trends that you throw out there are going to be complete garbage. There are some that do factor in, but I think more times than not, you should really just be looking in the individual games themselves. Well, now we're going back talking about the last 30 games between the Ravens and the Steelers and trying to say, well, this has happened over the last 30 games, so blanket just blind bet on the Steelers and because every game is close or whatever. Well, if you go back, 25 of those 30 games, Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback for the Steelers, not an injured Kenny Pickett. And then if you go back, and then you go back, and then you go, oh, well, okay, well, yeah, that's true. Well, but Lamar Jackson's missed 3 of the last 4 games in this series, including both last year in this series. So, like, even when Big Ben was gone, you don't even have a comp for like Ravens after Big Ben because Lamar hadn't played in 3 of the 4 games since Big Ben is retired. And so none of this stuff matters. This is a completely different game. It is Lamar playing. It is Kenny Pickett, who was bad anyway, who's going to try to be a hero because he don't want to get his job taken from him. So he's going to play injured in this game. There's no comps whatsoever. There's no trends. Look at the game itself and handicap the friggin' game. And that's what's going on here. Don't be sitting here being all lazy saying, well, the last 30 games have all been close. So hell, this one's going to be close. No, it doesn't. That's not what it means whatsoever. What you could say is that this one's going to be close because there's no offensive firepower on the Steelers and the Ravens are all banged up. So you don't think that this really can get out of hand. And so that's why you would be taking the 4.5. There's all different reasons that you can at least make your case. But to say that we're going back on the last 30 games between these teams just because they're divisional opponents and pulling the magic, there it is. It's magic, guys. It's just going to stay close no matter what. It's the way it is. Just be better. Be better. That's all there is to it. So sorry. That's my rant on this. I don't even have a bet in this game. It's like I heard the take like 8 different times over the last few days. I'm like, I can't take it anymore. I cannot take this anymore with these people doing this. And like, I don't even have a bet in the game. Adam, I know you're laughing because you've heard me do this before about 10 different times, but it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, we're pulling for games that we had like a Hall of Fame quarterback on one side of the ball and then a former MVP that wasn't playing in a lot of these games recently on the other side. I just, what are we doing? What are we doing?
I'm just pausing before I start to make sure that you got it all out.
I'm done.
Okay. All right. Because I wouldn't have been surprised if there were some aftershocks there that came out and you needed to get the rest of it onto a recorded format. Well, there you go. I make it Baltimore 5. It opened Baltimore 2. It's at Baltimore 4 most places. I think the most notable thing about this game is that the total has come all the way down to 38 while the market has moved out on Baltimore past the 3 to the 4. They're telling you everything that you need to know about the Pittsburgh offense. On the other side of this, we don't think of this Baltimore defense the way that we think about the Ray Lewis era Baltimore defenses. However, non-garbage time EPA on defense. Look, Cleveland is otherworldly, right? They're number 1 by a long shot. So number 2 is a long way from number 1. But number 2 right now, non-garbage time EPA, 4 weeks, is the Baltimore defense. And that has to say something, especially considering we just got done praising the Houston offense. And they are the ones who have made the Houston offense look the worst through 4 weeks thus far. So right now, you have reason to believe in Baltimore on both sides of the football. If ever you were going to lay 4 on the road in a divisional game, then this is when you would do it. But Matt, over the last 37 years, no, just kidding.
Yeah. I know. Listen, I just can't. I know. I'll be better about this, guys. I'm going to be able to breathe through this, and I'll talk myself out of like losing it every single time, because it's going to come up again next year, like no matter what happens. So it's going to come up again as it is next year. Steven, the injury report, the reason we were betting against the Ravens in theory the last couple of weeks, even though we bought off that bet last week after it got switched to DTR starting for the Browns, was because of the horrible injury report. Well, looks like Odell's going to be back. Rashad Bateman doesn't even have any injury designation. He's going to play for sure. You're getting back a couple of offensive linemen. Now you are going to still be without Worley and what was it? Moses, I think, is going to be still be out for them, but Owe, I think, is out too, but you do get back, Marcus Williams is going to be back out there. You do get back Marlon Humphrey, who got into full practice. Justice Hill got into full practice. Rashad Bateman, as I mentioned, not even listed on the injury report. So it is a much, 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 much healthier version of the Ravens heading into this thing as well. We know Pittsburgh, pretty healthy actually on their side of the ball.
The Steelers offense, though, not healthy. And that's a big part of this too, because Kenny Pickett,
Freiermuth is out. Yeah.
Freiermuth's out. Deontay Johnson is still on IR. That's a big deal for this offense. Those are probably his two favorite targets. And you're left with Pickett throwing the Pickens, and Pickens is one of the worst separators in the NFL. He's a great contested catch guy, but he's not Deontay Johnson, who's using his route running to get open basically every single play. So that leads to inconsistency. I would have felt better about the Steelers if Trubisky was playing, because then you get some mobility. Pickett
you
is
at least have a baseline, right? You at least have a baseline. The thing is that the floor for an injured Pickett, we don't even know what that could be. Like, he's been this bad. Like,
it's not better than what we've seen. That's for sure.
Yeah. Like the floor for an injured Pickett, like how low can that shit go? It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. So here's the thing though. Like, I'm not running to the window necessarily to take Ravens -4.5 because I do think, it's an appropriate line move, but I'm also getting the worst of the number at this point after this opened at 3. So, but I am extremely interested in just finding creative ways to back the Ravens in this game. So it's not a traditional teaser, but maybe a money line parlay with a couple of the other favorites I really like to win this week. You can get around -130 for Ravens, Lions money line parlay. So that I'm just going to try and get creative, because I think the Ravens have a very high likelihood of winning this game. I just don't want to lay 4.5.
Yeah, and if you're in love with any of these other numbers that aren't really teaserable, and this is just more for example, and we'll get to the game later, but like say you liked the Eagles but didn't want to lay the 4 because it's at 4, a Ravens Eagles comes out to like +117. So you're actually like getting plus money in that. So again, just something to consider. Like you said, there are different ways that you can go about playing this one to get it into your account if that isn't exactly the way that you want it. But guys, just all I'm saying, just be better in our handicapping out there.